morning, good morning, good morning. I hope everyone is doing well. It is Thursday. Happy Thursday, everybody. All right, so today, besides running late for work, I'm going to talk about sacrifice, desire and sacrifice. And I think I talked about this before, but I'm trying to put the chapstick on. Kind of hard to do when your lips are moving around. Like, get back here. Okay, so I almost said fire and desire. Look, if you guys know that song, it's so old. Fire and desire. So desire and sacrifice. So I heard this in one of our general staff meetings, and one of the persons said, you know, it's a sacrifice. Because, for those of you who don't know, I do work in a mental health facility environment. And some people see that type of work as a sacrifice. And the thing is, if it's a sacrifice, you shouldn't be doing it. If anything is a sacrifice, you shouldn't be doing it. And sometimes things aren't sacrifices, but we label them as sacrifices. And in doing that, what we do is we put the definition, the meaning, the feeling, most importantly, the feeling of sacrifice into that which we have attached the label to. Anytime you have a desire of yours, it's a desire to do something, there's something within you that wants to do it, that is not a sacrifice. When someone says, oh, I sacrificed 4 years of my life to go to school, if you truly desired to go to school, then it was no sacrifice at all. It was simply a desire that you had and a desire that you had met. That's it. You fulfilled that desire. Is fulfilling a desire a sacrifice? Absolutely not. If you want a child, if you want to raise some children and you have children to do so, is it a sacrifice? No. If it's a desire of yours and you're having that desire met, it is not a sacrifice ever. But every time and any time you put the label sacrifice on something, you also attach the definition and the feeling that's associated with the word sacrifice. And that diminishes your desire. Because we understand what a sacrifice is. A sacrifice is actually giving up something to do something else. But if you're not giving up anything and you have a desire and you're fulfilling it, then it's not a sacrifice. It's simply a desire. And if you can hold this definition of desire and what that is, throughout the time you're doing it, you have more joy. There's more of a fulfillment as you are carrying out this activity that you have a desire to do. And I just, when I heard that, and I heard someone else say it yesterday too, I was having a conversation with someone at work, and they said it's a sacrifice. It's like, it's not a sacrifice, because they were saying, their staff work hard, and they do a lot of amazing things. And the thing is, it's not a sacrifice if it's a desire. If you have a desire to help someone, to assist someone with clarity, with many different aspects of their lives to help improve, if it's a desire, it's never a sacrifice. It's a pleasure, it's an honor to be able to help another being. I do this all the time when I have conversations with people. I don't think it's a sacrifice. Sometimes the conversations take me away from my regular work, but that doesn't prevent me from getting it done. But it pulls me away sometimes, but it's never a sacrifice. The assistance or the clarity that I help someone, the assistance that I give and the clarity that I help someone achieve is never a sacrifice. It's always a fulfilling moment. Never a sacrifice. It's a desire. That's what I love to do. That's why I make these videos, to put information out there for people who are looking for it so that they can help themselves. That's it. Just giving them clarity. That's all my videos are for. It's just to give clarity. And that's it. And if people want the clarity, they put on the clear glasses, or they take the filters or the blinders off, and they're able to see. Why is my air on? Hold on a second. We're having technical difficulties here. I knew that was a popo coming. I knew that was it. No, it's not a popo. You got a white helmet like a popo though. You got the popo. You got the popo. So anyway, sacrifice. Gosh, sacrifice. I said it before. Sacrifice is a sin. because anytime you have to give up something for something else, it's an unloving event for you. It's an unloving event that is created by you. So you put yourself in these constraints. I feel I can't do this because I have to do that. You created that. We create that in ourselves. Nobody else does. We put ourselves in positions. This is what we do. We put ourselves in positions without thinking about what we're doing before we do it. That's what a sacrifice is when you have a goal or you have a desire to do something, and you're not thinking about the decision you're about to make, and you end up making it, and now you're torn because you're pulled in this direction and that direction. And that happens a lot with children, and when parents have kids, because we as individuals, we have dreams and desires, and a lot of times they don't include children, not at that time. There's things we want to do, and that's one of the reasons why I don't want to have any kids right now, and I may not ever have children, because there's things I want to do. And when I get to a point where I feel I can, I don't have the type of desires that require me to be by myself, like, it takes a lot of work, a lot of energy, and a lot of time. You really have to dedicate your life to a child. And I understand that. And the thing is, I don't even want to dedicate the time that I dedicate to my dog. Like, I have to spend time with her, but there are other things I would rather do. But I stopped that to go and be with her. And that's one of the things I didn't realize about having a pet. I'm not one of these people who makes their pet their entire life. That's not who I am. But for those who do, for those who love animals that much, it's not a sacrifice for them. It's a desire. It's not a sacrifice, it's a desire. For me, it wouldn't be a desire. Now, do I love my dog? Yes, but not to the point where I want to spend every moment. And the thing is, dogs need love. They need attention. And the things that I want to do require me to be outside of my home, not in my home. And so that's what I'm talking about. We have to know the difference between desire and sacrifice. And if we are sacrificing something, then understand, here's the thing. When we sacrifice something, there are generally two people who are affected. The person who is taking their time from something else that they would rather do, and the person who is not going to get all of your time, because whatever they're getting from you is dependent upon the time that you have to spare for them. And the thing is, because our lives are so complex and there's so many things we want to do, we can't give every one person all of our time. And if we do, then we end up feeling like trapped, and that's the sacrifice. Now that is a sacrifice. Any kind of event where you can't do what you want to do fully is, yes, a sacrifice. And that's what I'm doing right now with my dog. Sacrificing. Because I would rather, like as an example, I would like to get off of work and just go out to eat and do whatever I want to do. But I can't. I have to drive all the way, like this whole route that you see, I have to drive all the way home, let her out, feed her, and then go somewhere else. And that takes a lot. And by the time I get home, I'm so tired, I don't even want to do what I want to do. I'm like, well, since I'm here, I might as well stay here. I'm not going to drive back to the city. Because that's what happens a lot of times. People want to go out to the movies, people want to go out to eat, and I can't do it because I have a dog. And that's what I'm saying. So I already know this is going to be my last dog. I'm not going to get another pet. I think I've said that before. Because I understand it's not fair for the dog to be at home, by itself all the time. It's just not. And I don't have another dog, and I'm not willing to get another dog so that other dog can have company. Because then that, oh, no. See, that would be a sacrifice. And I've already made the mistake. I can't make the other mistake. I can't make it again, I should say. So I just wanted to put that out there. Be mindful of what your desires are. And if it is something that you are carrying out, then meaning it's a desire and you are carrying it out, don't label it as a sacrifice. Even if you're going to school. If you're going to school to get a degree to do something, it's only a sacrifice if you don't want to do it. If you feel you're forced to do it to get a better job, then yes, that's a sacrifice, because you're not doing it because you want to do it. You feel you're doing it because you have to do it. And everything you feel you have to do is a sacrifice. It's a desire when you willingly do it. When there's nothing that's forcing you to do it, but you do it because you want to do it for yourself, that is a desire. And I know someone recently who was in their 50s who decided to go back to school. Well, I kind of have an idea as to why the reason is, and it is a sacrifice. It's something that they would rather not do. It's something that they wish they would have did a long time ago, and now there's a resistance, and that's what I wanted to say. Anytime there is a sacrifice, there is a resistance. Or I should say, anytime there's a resistance, it's a sacrifice. So anytime you are in resistance to doing something, you are sacrificing. What are you sacrificing? You're sacrificing that other thing you would rather be doing. For me, I have resistance when I have to drive home to let my dog out. I can't just, like, today's one of my friend's birthday, and I would like to just, go out after work and say, hey, let's go to dinner, whatever. But I can't do that because I have to drive all the way to the valley, let the dog out. And by the time all that's done, by the time I get to the city and rush hour traffic in Los Angeles, it's too late. And that's what I mean. There's resistance. Like, every time I have to go home to let her out, I'm like, oh, I got to go all the way back home and do this. I can't do that. That is a sacrifice. And I'm learning my lesson. But I chose this, and so now I have to stick it out. I'm not going to give up my dog. I'm not going to give up Bella because I've developed a bond with Bella. But I know better for next time. I know better for next time. unless there's a circumstance or a situation where, someone is looking for, a husky and, they're a loving family, because that's one of the issues that I have is, like, I don't want to just give Bella to anybody. I want Bella to have, a place where she's going to be loved and cared for. And so that's important to me. So I just won't give my dog to anyone. So anyway, off of that subject. But anyway, resistance. When you have resistance, it is a sacrifice. When you have resistance to anything, it's a sacrifice. When you have resistance to your children, when you have to take care of your children, it's a sacrifice to you because you would rather be doing something else. You don't want to get up and do this. You don't want to get up and do that. And, it's hard for parents to admit it, but you need to admit it. You have to admit to yourself that what you did, meaning the child that you had, really isn't what you... Oh, that house is really on the cliff. Oh, my. I've never seen that before. How have I driven on this thing for I don't know how many years? I've never seen that house on that hill. Parents don't want to admit that, the decision that they made when they were younger isn't something that they really wanted at the time. Now, I'm not saying you don't want your kids, but you have to admit, for some of you parents, it would have been best if you would have waited and had your kids later after you would have finished your school or finished doing what you were doing that didn't require your attention to be taken away so much. Because it is, like I said, it's a lot of work. Children are a lot of work. And it's not even work. It's just they require a lot of attention. And if you have other desires, those things also require your attention. Not require your attention, but it's your desires need your attention. Because there's a law of desire. Like, there's a law of compensation. There's a law of attraction. There's a law of desire. And the law of desire is whatever you desire, it is your responsibility, it is your obligation to make sure that those desires are met, because that's what we're here for. And the universe will respond. The universe will respond in a way where, well, he just waiting to get somebody. He just got him. I see him getting in his car right now. Somebody was flying. Now they're gonna get a ticket. I already know who he's gonna get. It's gonna be that. Is it gonna be that BMW who's still flying? No wonder he's getting them. He's like, I don't care, he ain't getting me. Look, I see it. Look, he's bobbing and weaving. What is it? Yep, he getting a BMW. I'm sorry, I'm being nosy. I want to be nosy. I just want to see if I'm right. Am I right? That's all I want to see. Yep. That's the one. I bet you wish you would have had a Prius. Anyway, the law of desire. All of the desires that we have that are in harmony with love are supported by the universe. All of them. But if we don't have those desires within our soul, and we don't foster those, we don't put energy into those desires, what does the universe have to support you in? The universe can't support you in your desires if you don't go for your desires. And addictions are not desires. They're not desires. Addictions are things that we look for in order to alleviate pain. So some of you may have a desire to have kids. Like I have a friend who wants to get married. He wants to get married. I want to get married. I want to get married. I want to get married. But he's in a depressed, lonely state right now. So who's going to marry him in that state? Unless there's someone who's equally depressed and sad. And that's what I'm saying. If you have a desire to have a family, but it's not because you want to alleviate pain, that will happen right away. Some children grow up wanting to be married. Some little girls, most of little girls, but sometimes they'll be like, I want to get married and have a family like daddy. And some, little girls are like, I want to grow up and get married and have a family like mommy. And these are childhood desires. And when you think about it over and over and over and over again, before you know it, here, they finish college, and because they have the vision already. And that's what's important, is the vision. They have the division. They have the vision as a child. They think about it. They play house. They play all these different games where visualization is part of the process. And they're like, oh, I want to grow up and be, smart like mommy. So what does that mean? I want to grow up and I want to go to school so I can be smart like mom or like dad. And so they think about going to college. They think about getting married. They think about having a house. They think about all of these things, and the universe all the while is moving things in a way where this child is going to run into this person who's going to talk about something that they want to do, and they're going to see it manifest, and they're going to say, I really want that, and they're going to desire it, and before you know it, they're enrolled in school. And then they meet, this guy or this girl, and they end up getting married, and they buy a house, they have children, and everything's done. Like the desires manifested. And this is one of the reasons why in poorer neighborhoods, they don't have those things. Because there's a difference between, on this planet, people are... they focus on white and black, racism and all this stuff. But really, it's I should say it like this. Minorities think about racism more than white people think about racism. One, because they're not affected by it. But it's not a thought. It really isn't a thought. It's kind of like, how would I say? It's like if a black person were to be mindful of the homeless person on the street. It's not really a focus, but when you see him, you give him a couple of dollars. You say, oh, you're suffering, here you go. And that's basically the same thing with white people. They have their lives, and they're not really plagued by the poverty like minorities are. So it's not really a concern. It's not a thought. But when they see the homeless person on the street, it's like, here's a couple of dollars. Here's some food. It's just, okay, I see it. I'll respond to it. But it's not a focus. Whereas people who are minorities, their focus is what surrounds them. And so when you and this is the difference between I would say, and I don't even have to use race, because there are many races who allow their children to visualize, to have the whole make-believe thing going, and that is so important for a child, is to dream, is to conjure up all of these different visuals, you know, these desires, because that's what they are. They want their imagination are desires, and this is what we use to create. And when you foster that, they're able to manifest easily without resistance. But when you go to poor neighborhoods, that's not the case. They're shut down. They're not allowed to make believe and make up stories. It's like, stop making up stories. There's nothing there. And I've seen it myself where, you know, a child will make something up, you know, little make believe, and maybe their mother or father or they'll dismiss it, or they have a brother or sister and there's like, that's not real, that's fake. You know, if a child wants to believe in Santa Claus and you don't believe in Santa Claus, they'll shut that vision down. They'll shut that imagination down. And that's what I've noticed in poor neighborhoods, is that they don't have that freedom to just make believe, to visualize, to envision something, have a desire. They're not allowed to have that in poor neighborhoods, but they're allowed to have that in more wealthy neighborhoods. And that's how, because this is how we manifest. We manifest with these, with visualization. But if you don't have visualization, what can you desire? Because if it's not in front of you, because this is how people manifest. They manifest by the things that are in front of them. But if they don't have anything that's wonderful and great and exciting in front of them, how do you say, oh, this is what I want? Oh, wouldn't it be cool if this could happen? Wouldn't it be cool if this? Would it be cool if that? And that's what we, you know, those are the desires that we use to create our reality. But when you go into poor neighborhoods and all you see is bums walking the street and raggedy broke down cars and car making a turn and click, 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 and making all these raggedy sounds, that's the height of your desire. You know, it's not like, oh, I can have a Rolls Royce. It's more like, oh, we're going to get a car. We're going to get a used car. Let's go down to the corner lot and get a used car, versus someone who says, oh, I want a brand new, you know, 2020 BMW or whatever, Acura, Audi, whatever it is that you desire. Those are different. And then, you know, you have the people who will desire it for a split second, but then all that they're surrounded by takes it all away. For instance, someone could see a Ferrari on the street and then tell themselves they could never have it. Why? Because it's not part of their visualization. It's not part of the norm. But someone in Beverly Hills will see a Ferrari all the time. And that is something that is within their visual range, and they can, the reality, and put it into their mind, and they think about it, and they think about it, and they feel about it, and they feel how they would feel in it. And this is how we create, you know, this is how we manifest our desires. But if you're not giving anything great and grand to desire, how can it come to you? How can it come to you? And everything else will feel like you'll feel resistant. And this is what I'm saying, everything will be a sacrifice, because if you really want the Ferrari, you can have the Ferrari. But if you want the Ferrari, or you say to yourself, gosh, it'd be nice to have that, but you tell yourself, I can't have it because I don't make enough money, my job doesn't pay me enough, then you've already created resistance to that desire. And now you're sacrificing. And most people sacrifice. Most people can have, anybody actually can have whatever they desire. But the problem is they sacrifice. Most people are living in a sacrificial mode. Everything is sacrifice. We can't have this because I have to do that. And we have to do this, so we can't have that. It happens all the time. Sacrifice. And so you have to change that. I've been changing that lately within myself. The things that I've been desiring lately, I've capped my desires in the past, and I wasn't aware that I was doing it. But now that I've become aware of it, now I can start changing. Now there's things that I'm starting to desire that I've never desired before, and some things that I've desired in the past that have now come back. And so I'm giving energy to those things that I desire. In the past, what I've done is I've desired things, but only because I felt a sense of lack. It's like, oh, I want this because it's better, or I want this because it's going to make it better. And the difference between now and then is I simply want it because I want it. not because I want to improve my life, not because I'm trying to get out of something, not because I'm trying to change my experience from what it is. I'm just, oh my God, what kind of turn is that? I'm simply, oh, that's an interesting building. I'm simply just desiring it because I can, and not desiring something because it's better than what I have. I'm enjoying what I have, but there's other things that I want in addition to that, and it's not something that I feel I have to give up. Like as an example, like I want another house, but some people will say, oh, let's buy this house and use it as an investment for another house, and that means they have to sacrifice the house that they already have in order to have another. Well, I don't believe or feel I should have to sacrifice anything. There isn't any reason that I can't have another house in addition to the house that I have now. And that's the difference. The difference is I don't feel I have to give something up to have something else. And when you look at business owners or multi-dwelling owners, they're not sacrificing anything. They're not giving something up to have something else. And I believe that's one of the things that we have to change as a society, because we feel we have to live within a box. And you hear this all the time. Let's just buy a small house now. Just the thought of that. Let's buy a small house now. Let's buy a fixer-upper now. And then later on, when we're able, we can get a different house. We can sell it and take the equity out of that house and buy something else. You're having to give, if that is a desire of yours, then that's a desire of yours. But we have to be careful, because if we feel that we have to give something up to get something else, that's false. Because we don't have to give up anything. We can have it all. How many, I mean, there's, you probably don't know, but you probably know some people who have 10 properties, and they're all generating money for them. And the reason why that is because they don't have to give anything up. You don't have to give anything up. You can have as much as you want. Billionaires, they don't give anything up. Only the only time people give something up is if they're selling it. And they're not giving it up because they're getting a return on that. They're getting a return on that investment, whether it's monthly rent or whatever, or a lump sum of just selling the property. But you don't have to give anything up, and that's one of the things that most people believe, is they believe that you have to give something else up in order to have something else. But they do it in the mode of sacrifice, and we don't have to sacrifice anything. All we have to do is simply want more, until you don't want it anymore. If you simply don't want something, then you get rid of it. You're like, I don't want it anymore, and you get rid of it. No different than donating clothes. Oh, I have this suit, I'm not wearing this suit, I want to get rid of it. It's not a sacrifice. They're not saying, oh, let me sell this suit so I can get a different suit. So we have to be mindful of how we see things, how we feel things. How we feel about things. If you feel you have to give something up, stop it. If you feel you don't want it anymore, that's not a sacrifice. That's a desire to get rid of it. He's saying thank you to somebody. He must be saying thank you to God. Yep, he's looked like he's praying. You guys can't see him. Here we walking. There's so many people I want to help, but I know I just can't. Anyway. So yeah, sacrifice and desire. So maybe you can think about the desires that you have. Think about the desires that you had when you were younger. As we get older, we lose sight of the visions and the desires that we had as a child. The things that we wanted to do as a child are the things that will bring us a great deal of joy. Because we're not as old as we believe ourselves to be. Meaning, really, my soul, there are souls that are out there that are 200,000 years old, 150,000 years old. Meaning there's people in the spirit world who are that old. And when you look at, like myself, I'm 42. My soul, that's a baby. I'm still a baby in comparison to 200,000 years or 100,000 years or 80,000 years or 50,000, even 10,000 years. 42 is a baby. I'm still in double digits. I'm still in double digits. Most of us are still in double digits. We have so much time. So much time. This earthly life is short. But our life it's so long. There's so much time. So whatever you want to do here, whatever desires that you have, and when they go sliding on the concrete because they zip it all through the thing, they'll learn their lesson. And he don't have any pads on. He's just asking for it. 706. Let's see if it changes. It changed 706. Nope, it's not changing. So, we have so much time. So, I was saying, the desires that we have as children, or we had as children, those things will still bring us joy. Because they were desires. And that there's a law that's waiting to respond to that. It's still in your soul, whatever desire that is. Whatever desire that is. You could have been wanting to be a firefighter growing up. And, that desire is still there. I guarantee you, if you were to go to a firehouse, if this was a desire of yours, if you were to go to a firehouse and they were to do one of those things where, hey, you can do a ride along and you can wear the thing, the whatever get up that they have, little uniform, gear. If you were to go and do that, you would have a rush. You would feel a rush because that's a childhood desire. A childhood desire. And the childhood desire, it's kind of like this. Childhood desires are like emotional injuries from a child. They're locked in your soul. If it was something that you desired, it's locked within your soul. If there's something that you experienced that was hurtful, it's locked within your soul. And the thing is, the emotional injury must be released and the desire must be satisfied. The soul is recording everything. The soul is recording the pain, and the soul is recording the excitement from the desire that you had. And the thing is, the desire is going to bring about a sense of well-being, a sense of satisfaction, and the soul wants to experience the satisfaction. It wants to feel the greatness and the amazing feeling of experiencing the desire. That's what you want to do. You want to have the desire and you want to experience the desire. Most of all, you want to experience the desire. Why do you think you have it? As a thought, as a feeling, so it can be fulfilled. And so those things must be fulfilled. Desires are meant to be fulfilled. So that's what we must do, fulfill our desires. And the thing is, like I said, when you have a desire, it's locked within your soul as a desire. And it's there waiting for it to be fulfilled. And there's something about, like, I was using the firefighter example, that was never one of mine, but if you have one, and it could be, the desire could just be wearing, like, you as a kid, you could have seen the firefighter wearing the uniform and have the oxygen tank on, you thought that was cool. So it may be that aspect that you need to fulfill in order for that desire to be satisfied. It could be riding on the fire engine. It could be, because there's different fire engines, there's one with the big long ladder on it. And on some of the fire trucks, there's a guy who's turning the wheel in the back. And that could be something that fascinated you as a child. And to be able to sit in there and be part of that could be the one thing that satisfies that desire. It doesn't mean that you have to be a firefighter, but it could be that one thing that you say, oh, I wish I could be up there. And it's just a simple desire, and that's it. And so once that desire is satisfied, you have a good feeling, and you think back on it, and you're like, wow, that was so cool. I remember when I was a kid. And it takes you back to the time when you felt excited about it, when you felt like, wow, that would be so cool. And it's the same thing with the emotional injuries. It takes you back. And so you want to be able to take yourself back to the time where you're releasing the emotional injury, the hurtful, the painful experience. You want to go back in time, if you will, and release that. And you can do that with your imagination. Now, the difference between those two is, in this now moment, all you have to do is think about the experience, and the pain will come up and you'll feel it. Or you can think about the experience of a desire, and the joy and excitement from that desire will come up. And that's all the soul is looking for. That's all really the soul wants, is to experience that. And then sometimes you can have a desire. This is interesting. Sometimes you can have a desire and you're like, yeah, that'd be so cool. That'd be awesome. And then you do it and you're like, it's all done now. You can be like, oh, it wasn't like what I thought it would be. And that's fine, but at least you satisfied it. At least you satisfied it. You tried it and you realize that it's something either you like or you don't like. Same thing with the fire engine. If you sat in there and you're like, wow, I remember when I thought this was really cool. I don't think that anymore. But you satisfy it. You satisfy the curiosity, because that's a lot of what happens with the desires, is that we're curious about how it would feel to do something. Would it be cool to actually be in a jet or not? It's like, oh, it wasn't what I thought it would be. It's just whatever desires you have to satisfy them, because you have to satisfy the curiosity. A lot of times it's the curiosity of what the experience is going to be like. Sometimes you want to go to school. You're like, yeah, I want to go to school, and then you realize, no, I really don't like this. I really don't like this. Oh, I thought about, some people do that with their majors. Oh, I want to be a historian. And they start going to school and taking history classes, like, this is really boring. I don't want to be a historian. But it was a desire. And you have to find out, is this truly what I want? But in order to find that out in life, you have to go out and do things. You have to take what people call risks. And it's really not a risk. You're just acting upon a desire. And when you act upon a desire and you're like, I really don't like this, then hey, you don't like it. And now you know. And now you don't desire it anymore. And now you put that away. And you desire something else. And if you like it, you like it. And if you don't, you don't. But for you people who stay in the house all the time and don't want to go anywhere, and you're always sad and you're mad about everything and everybody, you're doing yourself a disservice. Whatever your desires are, just go for it. And if you don't like it, then you don't like it. Just allow that to be a lesson for you. Allow that to be a teaching moment for yourself, so that you know not to desire that anymore. There are some people who are depressed and stay in the house all the time, and they want to do things, and then they do it, and they're like, oh, I don't like it. But also at the same time, you have to understand, if someone's depressed, they ain't gonna like much of anything, because they're focused so much on their pain. And when you focus on your pain, it's almost like your senses are hampered. They aren't allowed to. It's like you can do something. Oh, here. You can do, this video is like all over the place. Anyway, you can do something, or I should say, when you were younger, you probably did something that you liked, you enjoyed. And then you got depressed, some things overwhelmed you, you allowed darkness to become your rock, if you will. And so now you've chained yourself to the rock. And now you're depressed about everything, and you feel like, life is worthless, there's no point in living, blah, 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 whatever you decide to take from that experience. And then you can have an opportunity to do that experience, do that thing which you did when you were younger that brought you joy, just to find out it doesn't bring you joy anymore. And the thing is, it could bring you joy, but because of the lack, the pain that you have within your soul, it prevents you from, I think, what is that called? I made a video about it. One of my earlier videos too. If I find it, I'll put it down in the link, but in the description box. But it's anytime you have pain within your soul, anytime you cut off your emotions, you run away from the painful things in your life, anytime you do that, can I make that light? Nope. But I'll take this one. Ooh, red light. Another BMW acting crazy on the road. Anytime you suppress, that's what it is, suppress your emotions because you don't want to feel the pain, you also suppress your ability to experience the joyful experiences. So the same feelings the feelings that you deny that are painful also prevent you from feeling joyous feelings, happy feelings, good feelings. This is why depressed people can sit in front of beauty and not feel anything from it because they're suppressing the pain. And as you suppress their pain, you suppress the ability for you to experience the joy, the joyful feelings. So yeah, just remember that. Keep that in mind. This is one of the reasons why, people who are depressed, they say, oh, do this and do that. And they're like, I did that and nothing works. Well, it's because they're suppressing themselves in a way that is preventing them from engaging in the happy things. And this is by design. This is by design. Because the whole goal is for the soul to live without any pain whatsoever. But how can the soul do that if the soul is suppressing the pain from escaping, or preventing the pain from escaping? If you're doing that, then you can't release the pain, and that's the only way to be happy. The only way to be happy is to get rid of that which is preventing the happiness. But if you're putting a cap on the pain from coming out, then that means you're suppressing the pain that's inside of you, and you're also suppressing the ability to feel joy. So just keep that in mind, people. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope everyone has a wonderful Thursday, and I will talk to you guys later. All right, bye now.